Yahweh will strike you with the boils of Egypt, with tumors, with the scab, and with the itch, from which you cannot be healed. Yahweh will strike you with madness and blindness and confusion of heart.
For example, the paranoia of Saul in 1 Samuel 18 verses 10 through 11 and 22 verse 8.
And you shall grope at noonday, as a blind man gropes in darkness. You shall not prosper in your ways. You shall be only oppressed and plundered continually, and no one shall save you. You shall betroth a wife, but another man shall lie with her. And you shall build a house, but you shall not dwell in it. You shall plant a vineyard, but shall not gather its grapes. Your ox shall be slaughtered before your eyes, but you shall not eat of it. Your donkey shall be violently taken away from before you, and shall not be restored to you. Your sheep shall be given to your enemies, and you shall have no one to rescue them.
The Midianites and Amalekites did this very thing. See Judges 6, verses 1 through 6.
Your sons and your daughters shall be given to another people, and your eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all day long. And there shall be no strength in your land. A nation whom you have not known shall eat the fruit of your land and the produce of your labor. And you shall be only oppressed and crushed continually.
This nation turned out to be Babylon. See 2 Kings 25, verses 1 through 5.
So you shall be driven mad because of the sight which your eyes see. Yahweh will strike you in the knee and on the legs with severe boils which cannot be healed, and from the sole of your foot to the top of your head. Yahweh will bring you and the king whom you set over you to a nation which neither you nor your fathers have known. And there you shall serve other gods, wood and stone. And you shall become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among the nations where Yahweh will drive you.
For example, Assyria. See 2 Kings 18, verses 9 through 12.
You shall carry much seed out to the field, but gather little in, for the locusts shall consume it, and shall plant vineyards and tend them. But you shall neither drink of the wine, nor gather the grapes, for the worms shall eat them. You shall have olive trees throughout your territory, but you shall not anoint yourselves with the oil, for the olives shall drop off. You shall beget sons and daughters, but they shall not be yours, for they shall go into captivity. Locusts shall consume all of your trees and the produce of your land.
Read Joel chapter 1, verses 1 through 12.
The alien who is among you shall rise higher and higher above you, and you shall come down lower and lower. He shall lend to you, but you shall not lend to him. He shall be the head, and you shall be the tail. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon you and pursue and overtake you until you are destroyed, because you did not obey the voice of Yahweh your God. Keep his commandments and statutes which he commanded you. And they shall be upon you for a sign and a wonder, and on your descendants forever. Because you did not serve Yahweh your God with joy and gladness of heart, for the abundance of everything, therefore you shall serve your enemies, whom Yahweh will send against you, in hunger, in thirst, in nakedness, and in need of everything. And he will put a yoke of iron on your neck until he has destroyed you. Yahweh will bring a nation against you from afar, and from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flies.
He's talking about Babylon. See Lamentations 4:19.
A nation whose language you will not understand, a nation of fierce continents, which does not respect the elderly or show favor to the young. And they shall eat the increase of your livestock and the produce of your land, until you are destroyed. And they shall not leave you grain, or new wine, or oil, or the increase of your cattle or offspring of your flocks, until they have destroyed you. And they shall besiege you at all of your gates throughout all of your land which Yahweh your God has given you.
Sennacherib's campaign. See Isaiah 36.
You shall eat the fruit of your own body, the flesh of your sons and your daughters, whom Yahweh your God has given you, in the siege and desperate straits in which your enemies shall distress you.
For instance, Ben-Hadad's siege. 2 Kings 6, verses 24 through 29.
The sensitive and very refined man among you will be hostile towards his brother, towards the wife of his bosom, and toward the rest of his children whom he leaves behind, so that he will not give any of them the flesh of his children whom he will eat, because he has nothing left in the siege and desperate straits into which your enemies shall distress you at all of your gates. The tender and delicate woman among you, who would not venture to set the sole of her foot on the ground because of the delicateness and sensitivity, will refuse to the husband of her bosom, and to her son and her daughter, her placenta which comes out from between her feet, and her children whom she bears, for she will eat them secretly for lack of everything in the siege and desperate straits into which your enemy shall distress you at all of your gates.
This was fulfilled under Nebuchadnezzar's siege. Lamentations 4, verse 10.
If you do not carefully observe all the words of this law that are written in this book, that you may revere this glorious and awesome name, Yahweh your God, then Yahweh will bring upon you and your descendants extraordinary plagues, great and prolonged plagues, and a serious and prolonged sickness.
How about Peor, mentioned in Joshua 22, verse 17?
Moreover, he will bring back on you the diseases of Egypt, of which you were afraid, and they shall cling to you. Also, every sickness and every plague which is not written in this book of the law will Yahweh bring upon you until you are destroyed. You shall be few in number, whereas you were as the stars in the heaven in multitude, because you would not obey the voice of Yahweh your God. And it shall be that just as Yahweh rejoiced over you to do good and multiply you, so Yahweh will rejoice over you to destroy you, and to bring you to nothing. And you shall be plucked from off the land which you go to possess.
See the story of Solomon in 1 Kings 11:31 through 33.
Then Yahweh will scatter you among all peoples, from one end of the earth to the other, and there you shall serve other gods, which neither you nor your fathers have known, wood and stone.
This all happened after the siege of Jerusalem in 70 A.D.
And among those nations you shall find no rest, nor shall the sole of your foot have a resting place. But there Yahweh will give you a trembling heart, failing eyes, and anguish of soul. Your life shall hang in doubt before you. You shall fear day and night, and have no assurance of life. In the morning you shall say, Oh, that it were evening, and the evening you should say, Oh, that it were morning, because of the fear which terrifies your heart, and because of the sight which your eyes see.
In Titus's siege, 1,000,000 Jews died, 600,000 of them from starvation. Josephus reports that 97,000 were shipped off to Egypt to be sold as slaves, creating such a glut in the market that their value fell to almost nothing. How ironic it is that Moses had warned them.
And Yahweh will take you back to Egypt in ships, by the way which I said to you. You shall never see it again, and there you shall be offered for sale to your enemies as male and female slaves, but no one will buy you. Deuteronomy 28:15-68.
I want to weep. This isn't theoretical. It's like reading a history book. All of this actually happened to the people of Israel, just as they had been warned. Curses instead of blessings, disease instead of health, fear instead of confidence, natural disaster and plagues in place of beneficial weather and a dearth of pests, subjection and slavery in place of peace and political ascendancy, a barren, rocky wilderness replacing the land of milk and honey, a cringing remnant in place of a teeming multitude, frustration, not fulfillment, poverty, not prosperity, famine, not the fat of the land. Read the histories of the sieges of Jerusalem, especially that of Nebuchadnezzar in 586 BC and Titus Vespasian in AD 70. You'll see that Moses' descriptions of desperate hunger were not exaggerated. They were driven to cannibalism, and worse, mothers eating their own newborn children along with the placenta and not even sharing. It's enough to make you scream, why? Why didn't they listen? Why didn't they heed the warning? The choices were so clear. And then I look at the sins of my own life and in the life of my beloved country, and again I want to weep. Seems every time Israel had a chance to blow it, they did. And yet God said that no matter how badly they failed, He would not give up on them, ever. He would chastise them, even going so far as to destroy their entire political existence. But they would always exist as a separate people.
Behold, the eyes of Yahweh are on the sinful kingdom, and I will destroy it from the face of the earth. Yet I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob. Amos 9:8.
Or,
I will not make a complete end of you. And it will be when you say, Why does Yahweh our God do all of these things to us? Then you shall answer them, Just as you have forsaken me, and have served foreign gods in your land, so shall you serve aliens in a land that is not yours. Jeremiah 5:18-19.
Yahweh has always let men choose their own destiny. Moses had pointed out that no matter how far they fell, there was always a way to get back up.
But if they confess their iniquity and the iniquity of their fathers, with their unfaithfulness in which they were unfaithful to me, and that they also have walked contrary to me, and that I also have walked contrary to them, and have brought them into the land of their enemies, if their uncircumcised hearts are humbled, and they accept their guilt, then I will remember my covenant with Jacob, and my covenant with Isaac, and my covenant with Abraham. I will remember the land also shall be left empty by them, and will enjoy its Sabbaths while it lies desolate without them.
There's our 6+1 reminder again.
They will accept their guilt, because they despised my judgment, and because their soul abhorred my statutes. Yet for all that, when they are in the land of their enemies, I will not cast them away, nor will I abhor them, to utterly destroy and break my covenant with them. For I am Yahweh their God. But for their sake I will remember the covenant of their ancestors, whom I brought out of the land of Egypt in the sight of nations, that I might be their God. I am Yahweh. Leviticus chapter 26, verses 40-45.
I will remember my covenant. I will remember the land. It may come as a surprise to some, considering their history, but God wants to bless His people. Like any loving father, he hates disciplining his children, but he will if he has to.